142 coming at you live. Sorry for the delay. It has been a hell of a run here. I was just stuck outside trying to get my chickens to get back in their coop as the door got shut. So some made it in, some didn't make it in. Yeah,
that's not a euphemism. Mike has chickens. He's got a whole coop in the back.
It's true. So anyways, we're here. Nick, we're on. We've got a couple people joining us here. Alicia Rossi is on, as well as Ryan Anderson. Thanks for joining us, guys. We've got lots to talk about here. The semifinals for MLS is Back tournament is set. Nick, it's time, man. We got 4 teams left. What do you think about the top 4?
Dude, definitely not the 4 that any of us would have picked at the start of this tournament, that's for sure. But that's the beauty about MLS is back. That's the beauty about MLS, American soccer, all that good stuff. And we're definitely going to dive into that in the second half of the show and have a little fun and laugh a little bit about what occurred along the way to get us here. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely. I had a great thought the other night when I was watching the last game there between NYCFC and Portland. And I'm like, man, this, everybody was talking about the U.S. Open Cup getting eliminated. And this is kind of a replacement kind of U.S. Open Cup 2.0, basically, for 2020. And they got exactly that. This has turned out to be just like a U.S. Open Cup. None of the big names are still in it, even though Atlanta won last year, I know. But, it's not teams who you normally see in the top 4 of a tournament type setting. So exciting stuff for the teams that are involved. 3 of the 4 have yet to win a championship. So they've got a chance to actually put some silverware in their cabinet. If there's a trophy, I think there's a trophy. I don't know.
$1 million in prize money. So that's just as good as any trophy, if you ask me. But
there you go. Maybe the team will create a trophy if they don't have one, right?
Exactly. Like our friends from Forward Madison with their own created trophy. But anyway, wanted to put out a few just quick housekeeping things, and then let's get into some headlines. First of all, we want to thank everyone for joining us live on our YouTube broadcast, and for those who are listening on our podcast, thank you for supporting us that way as well. If you want to continue to support us further, go to the website Redbubble. Search for Sons of a Pitch Soccer. We got all sorts of swag. Mike's got the mug there, the little cooler thermos thing going on, and you can get our logo printed on just about anything you want. You can put it on a shower curtain, so while you're sudsing up in the morning, put on the podcast and listen and have your SOP's shower curtain. We can put it on anything. We want to thank everyone who's joined us on YouTube, on Twitter, on email, on comments on the website. Thank you for all the feedback. I want to give a special shout out to DeKalb United, an amateur club founded in 2017. We got to connect with them through our friends Sacktown FC. Check out that podcast. These guys are talking all things USL, lower divisions, California soccer. Give them a follow. DeKalb United, though, near and dear to my heart now. After growing up in Rockford and playing soccer in the cornfields of Illinois and Iowa, their logo is actually a stalk of corn that looks like a soccer ball with barbed wire across the top on the border. So it's perfect farm country and everything about Midwestern soccer that I remember as a kid. So totally. With that, those are kind of my little things I wanted to give a little shout out to. Mike, anything on your mind before we dive into some of these headlines?
No, just great to have you guys on that are live with us. Daniel Young, sorry about NYCFC being eliminated, and Ryan Anderson has got a couple things to say here. MLS is back is greater than the U.S. Open Cup. I think I agree with you on that one. Just making the reference as far as the teams, because, man, those teams, it's similar to that. So he says also he'd rather see this every year. Hey, I'm all for more soccer. I don't know if they'd be able to fit something like this in, but, it is what it is. So let's get into some of the headlines, man. We've got, actually, before we do that, let me put up our 1,000 YouTube subscriber challenge. We've got, make sure you subscribe down below and get involved. If we reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the MLS is Back tournament, one subscriber will be randomly drawn to win a $250 Visa gift card. So we've got some work to do. So if you haven't subscribed yet, knock it out. And get on that for sure. So there, and then there's a comment now in there that is from my personal account. Hi, Daddy, with some little smiley face, kiss face. Hi, Bella. Thanks for coming on and watching the show with us here.
It's a family affair here at
So headlines, right? Headlines. Let's talk some Atlanta United. Joseph Martinez. Some news about him and their replacement. Who did they pick up, Nick?
Right. Well, first off, Joseph has been put on season-ending IR, and the lawyer in me is enjoying reading up on all these crazy MLS roster rules and things. But the fan wants to hear about Kubo Torres, the new signing. So Joseph's done; he's out for the season. The rules allow Atlanta United to bring in another player to take his roster spot, essentially. We can read through that in detail if you really are curious about it, Mike. But essentially, the player must be earning at least $100,000 in salary that year in order to have a transfer player come in and take his spot. And then that replacement player can earn up to $250,000, but no more than what the injured player was making. So it looks like they're going to be able to pay Kubo Torres to get him to stay there. And if he performs well, who knows what this new Atlanta United coach is going to want if he does well. But anyway, Kubo Torres, the diehard MLS fans are definitely going to know who this guy is. He played with Chivas and the Houston Dynamo between 2013 and 2017. He had 36 goals in 96 regular season appearances between those two teams. So he knows how to score. He knows the league. Looks like he's going to have a smooth transition into Atlanta United, a team where they're just like, here, go do something. We have no idea what we're doing anymore. Frank de Boer totally flipped everything on its head. We have no game plan. We have no shape or formation. Just go and try and link up with PD and Barco and see what you can do. So that's kind of what I expect out of Kubo Torres here, Mike. Especially the last couple seasons, he's been down in Liga MX between Pumas and Tijuana, not getting a lot of time. So he's probably got some miles on those legs. He's probably anxious to get out and run with the South American Player of the Year, which we got to stop calling Barco that until he plays like it, right?
Not Barco, Pity.
Or Pity
Martinez.
Either way, Barco could have been, right?
I think Barco might have won a Young Player of the Year. And but yeah, that's so here I got another comment here that I've got to put up. So it's so my personal account says, I'm Julie, not Bella, but I love your background. Bella told me she was going to watch the live tonight, and but it's Julie. So Julie, thank you for watching, and thanks. She loves the background. God bless America. And anyways, back to Kubo Torres.
Yeah, I mix up Pity and Barco. You mix up your daughter's names. It's all in the same vein.
Hey, that's they don't have YouTube accounts for a reason, so they have to use mine. And I don't know who it is that's typing it. Sometimes my wife is on mine. I don't know, but Kubo Torres, he's a good player. He's proven in MLS. He scores goals in MLS. Not so sure on how he did in Liga MX, but he's done all right in MLS. And when you're looking for a replacement for Joseph Martinez, nobody's going to replace him. That type of production, but when you can get a player like that. He's going to score some goals, especially with the midfield linking up with Pity Martinez. And don't forget, once this tournament is over, I think you're going to have Jurgen Damm, who came over from Tigres as well, linking up with him in that midfield there, kind of playing on the wing. So I think he'll do pretty well there. But that's that. And Ryan Anderson, he thinks that Kubo's going to be a flop this time around. Atlanta has no identity or tactics, and he's nowhere as good as Joseph. Hope I'm wrong, but that's just what I see happening. I could see that happening as well. Atlanta is definitely hurting right now. They have zero, just zero chemistry. So I could definitely see
no
that.
Offense, no formations, no tactics, no anything. Right. It's crazy how far and how fast Atlanta has fallen from the model MLS franchise all the way down to this is the cautionary tale now, right?
Yep.
And in that same sense, Mike, do you think now other clubs are going to be hesitant to go out and spend the big money like Atlanta United did, or do you think it's a more cautionary tale of the kind of coach that you put in charge of it?
Oh, it's on the coach. You're always going to do well when you're putting, when you're paying guys some money and doing it right. And I still think they've done it right. These guys are good, talented players. They just didn't mesh well in that system. And not to mention, I think it's the expectations as well. A lot of people, you have these crazy high expectations. Your team just came off a MLS Cup victory in 2018, so you expect when you lose a player like Miguel Almiron, but you replace them with someone like Pity Martinez, that you expect to win again. And when you don't win again and you go through some rough times here and there, the expectations get to it. But Frank DeBoer had no idea what he was doing with that roster. And we could talk for a lot longer on this, but we've got way too much other stuff to cover.
Sure.
Like Junior Rudy's comment there on USMNT. We'll touch on that later. And we've got
expectations though, Mike. Expectations are good. Like Atlanta should have high expectations, and the fact that they lose 3 straight games in this cup where they come out flat-footed, not anxious to play, they lose 3 games 1-0 in each round, that shows that the coaching staff didn't have expectations for their players or for themselves to get them prepped. But you look around the Eastern Conference's expectations have to be, we got to beat the LAs of the world, right? You got New York, you've got both blue and red sides of New York. Both of those teams are looking for hardware. Philadelphia is looking to stay established. Like Toronto, they don't think that they've had any sort of drop off. These are teams whose expectations are trophies. And if they're not winning trophies, then there's going to be changes, whether it's a complete roster turnover or a coaching change, or if it's, hey, let's just move a few pieces and maybe get those last couple of guys. Kind of like Portland, which we'll touch on in the second half of the show. Like Portland just tweaked a few little things, and now they're in the semifinals of this ridiculous tournament that we've got going on here. So Atlanta was right to have high expectations, and it's just unfortunate that Frank DeBoer didn't come anywhere near meeting them and really kind of brought down the quality of the league and one of its top franchises. But you're right. I think it's time to move on. As much as we love talking Atlanta and as much as a lot of other fans love seeing Atlanta United fall flat on their faces, I'm sure there's a little bit of the TFC fan in you, Mike, that enjoys that a little bit. Let's talk about some other injury news that might have an impact on the Eastern Conference as well. Dom Dwyer out for Orlando for 4 to 6 months, underwent surgery to repair a partial patella tendon tear. We all know Dom Dwyer's style of play. He's a very physical type of striker. He likes to mix it up. He's also kind of an aggregator, aggravator. That's the word. Agitator. He's a pest. He's one of those guys where you hate him when he's on the other team, but you know what? I can't even say that because I don't think I'd like him if he was on my team since he doesn't score goals and he's a starting striker. But that's my personal feelings about Dom Dwyer. But Mike, how did you feel when you heard the news about Dwyer now being out for 4 to 6 months?
I'm not a big Dom Dwyer fan, so to me, it doesn't really make a difference to Orlando. He has been nowhere near the player that he was when he moved to Orlando for a ton of TAM, and everything else. And they have decent backups behind them. They've got that's Benji Michel. They also have you've got
I'm pulling the roster
other
up
guy
right now here.
You got DK, Daryl DK, which that is probably one of the best moments of this show ever was during our team previews.
Go there, huh?
I'll never forget that, man.
Yes, but, when I mispronounced Daryl DK's last name. Yes, thank you, Mike, for reminding it. That was funny. That's a funny one. You got Tesho Akindele, you got Chris Mueller, who's a beast, man. I mean, ever since he came into the league, he's done well. So and Ryan Anderson, who actually just subscribed. So the people in the chat saying that anybody subscribe and like Ryan Anderson, thanks for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Appreciate it. We are subscribers of yours. I know I am on the personal side, and I believe we are as a podcast. But I agree, Ryan, 100%. Tesho, he's kind of fallen down a bit from where he was with Dallas, and hasn't really lived up to his expectations there with Orlando or the Canadian men's national team. But, overall, I think they're fine. Mueller's a beast. He has since he came into the league as a rookie from Wisconsin. So Dom Dwyer, no problem. They'll move on. I think it's actually going to benefit them to have him not on the pitch because he's one of their highest paid players. That's my opinion. Do you think there's going to be a little bit of that like Zlatan effect where when he's on the pitch, the game plan was to play to him and through him, and that's all that LA did. With Dwyer, do you think that he was as much of a focal point of that attack? You've got Nani on the wing. I mean, that guy has been playing out of his mind ever since he joined. And it's funny watching him in the MLS's back tournament, just this last game. I mean, I remember his first game with Orlando City in MLS. He's like stepping back. He's like, look, I'm the new guy here. Everyone knows my reputation, but I'm new to the team. I'm new to the league. I'll just let you guys kind of do your thing and I'll try to compliment you. And like real quick, he's like, that ain't going to work. I'm about to take this team over. And you saw him have moments like that in the MLS's back tournament. And then in their most recent game to get into the semis, you just see how good he is. So I don't know if the team's going to suffer because Dom lost. They might be better off because of that Zlatan effect. But then again, Mike, was he always kind of their focal point on offense? I don't know if he was.
No, I don't think I don't think it's a big deal. It's not going to have to change their game plan up much. They've got the hold up play from those other guys like Benjamin Michel, and Teshuak and Deli and whatnot. So I think they'll be fine. Nani is probably the best player on that team, and he'll be able to work with whoever there on that end. So I have no issues there whatsoever. So there's Eric S is finally on at the same time to watch us live. So Eric, glad to have you on live here. Finally, right? You've joined us in some of the live stream reactions. So good to have you on for one of our podcast episodes. Let's move on to Pulisic, man. FA Cup final against Arsenal. You're thinking, all right, here we go, right? We've got an American playing in the FA Cup final. This is huge. Comes in, scores right off the bat. Scores 5 minutes in. Hell yeah, this is amazing, unbelievable.
Typical Pulisic too. Like he gets the ball and turns and just runs at defenders, makes them have to make a decision. They converge on him. He lays the ball off. The initial play doesn't go well, but the rebound comes right back to him when he finds the back of the net. Like it's beautiful Pulisic play, right. And it's what we want of him from the national team level, attacking defenders.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, great goal from him, and then all of a sudden, injury. Like, what the hell, man? This guy, the talent is unbelievable. He's one of the best young players in the world. Playing at Chelsea, he's worked his way into a starting role, and it's just the injuries. That's the only thing holding this guy back from straight up superstardom in the world of football. Not just American soccer, not just the U.S. men's national team, talking about as one of the best players in the game. And is this something, is this something that that we should just get used to? I mean, it seems lately that's what's going on. Is he just prone to injury now? Is he going to turn into another Josie Altidore, or,
Well, don't say that. Don't put the curse of Josie on him. Don't do that. I mean, Josie could cut it in the lower English Premier clubs and some of the mid-level European clubs. And here you got Pulisic since the restart scoring in like every other game for one of the best clubs in the world. So let's not compare him to Josie as far as anything right now. I don't want to put that on him. But as far as his injuries, this one is a hamstring injury. He strained his hamstring. He had a prior adductor injury and I think an ankle injury before that, or some abdominal maybe. I forget all of the injuries that he's had, but you have to ask the question, right? Because he's had 3 injuries and he's been playing professional soccer for now 4 years or so, 3 with Dortmund and then the latest with Chelsea, professional at the highest level, I guess. You got to ask the question, is he injury prone? I don't want to say he is. And I think that's just the USMNT fan in me and just the fan of Pulisic in me, not wanting him to be injury prone. But you look at the types of injuries, and I'm going to really try and parse it out here. Like, okay, he's got a hammy injury. It's after the restart. These things are going to happen when you don't have a full training when you don't have your typical workup, when you're playing a condensed Premier League schedule and then you jump in and play an FA Cup final, and then now you've got Champions League that he was probably gearing up for as well. So I guess you can explain that away. The adductor and the ankle, the ankle is just a bad knock, if I'm remembering it right. And the adductor, hey, these might just be growing pains. Like literally, the kid's 21, and he's playing against men who have devoted their whole lives to this game and who are big dudes knocking him around, because that is how Concacaf has dealt with Christian Pulisic. Knock him around a bit. He even said it after one of the prior games when he was fouled hard and there was no call by the referee. He said, hey, I'm used to it. I play in CONCACAF. Like, everybody knows that you got to get physical with Christian Pulisic to knock him off the ball, figuratively and literally. So I'm hoping he's not injury prone. I don't think he's injury prone. I think he's just kind of growing into his game. His body's growing and getting stronger and bigger as it goes by. I think we're okay. You know, I'm the optimist of the two, Mike. What is your take on this?
It makes me nervous, man. Because it's been an issue for a while, and I'm not quite sold on. Yeah, it's just because of the restart and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he had injury issues before this break and whatnot. So I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic on it, but overall, I'm hoping that one day he can just flip a switch and just stop getting injured, because he's crucial to the United States men's national team success. And I don't really follow EPL much, so I really could care less. I mean, the only time I'll ever watch it is when he's playing, or other U.S. MNT players are there. So to me, I just want him to do well for the U.S. men's national team. Sure. And there's a great question here from the Chosen One. Check out his show as well on YouTube. He's been putting up some awesome content lately. He says, the best CONCACAF player in Europe, Pulisic or Jimenez. And then you've got Junior Rudy pops in and says Alphonso Davies. So that's kind of the question, right? You've got three guys who are there. One, to me, it's between Pulisic and Davies. That's where I'm at. But overall, I think I'm thinking it's Alphonso Davies is probably the best player in CONCACAF right now, just based off the season he had with Bayern Munich. Now, totally different level of play in the Bundesliga and the English Premier League. But when you take those injury issues into account, you got to go with Alphonso Davies. So nice comment there, Junio, for sure.
Yeah, I think of the three, Davies is the best, and it's not. And if you take a step back, it's nice to see the international footballing world is taking note of CONCACAF when they put out like their best 25 player rankings or something. You had all three of those guys on the list. So even the old guard or old money, whatever, noses in the air soccer people from over in Europe are recognizing that CONCACAF is putting out all world talent. Personally, I still think it's Pulisic over Jimenez right now, because of just how good he's been for a Chelsea team that could have really come apart at the seams. Jimenez took a Wolverhampton team on the rise. I guess I'll say they've had some respectable seasons, and he's the one that put him over the bump, whereas Pulisic is the one that kept Chelsea in the Champions League qualification. So for a guy who to get on Lampard's good side, we all know Lampard's history and not wanting to play young guys or new guys, or kind of thumbing his nose at Americans even. For Pulisic to get on Lampard's good side and have all the praise he's getting, especially in an overly critical English media, who doesn't really give much respect to American soccer players, I'm gonna give it to Pulisic for all the on the pitch and off the pitch reasons.
Okay,
so those are my takes on it. Now I have to give a family shout out real quick here, Mike. We got a comment here. Who cares about Pulisic? Glory, glory, Man United. From one Tony Pateras. Hey sis, thanks for joining. My sister's jumping on here and spouting her Red Devil love there.
Thanks for subscribing, Tony. You got the notification there. You subscribed as well, so appreciate it.
Sure, you got the Man United love from my sister is definitely influenced by her husband. I'll have to tell my brother-in-law she still has her old profile name and picture up that she's got to update it for the married name. But yeah, she's a Red Devil now. That's sad to see. But hey, we've never agreed on anything sports-wise, so why start now?
Hey, especially, I mean, I got to give it to her, though, on the choice of team because Everton, bro. Oof. Yeah, but
I'm not about to
for
just
another.
pick the team at the top of the table. I got my reasons.
Yeah, no, I know. So yeah.
Anyway,
so,
to
Ryan
wrap
Anderson,
up the
Ryan
ballistic
Anderson agrees as well
yeah.
with me, and he says Davies. So and check out Ryan Anderson's YouTube as well. He's got lots of good content on TFC and some other sports as well as RSR reaction. So check that. So we got a whole bunch of YouTubers here in this community. So go check out the Chosen One and Ryan Anderson and their pages, and anybody else who loves the game of soccer here in the United States and Canada and Mexico and wherever, as long as it's Concacaf, right? So anyways, moving right along. What's next? So we've got William,
Next,
the player.
We're going to still talk a little Chelsea here, and we're going to tie it back to our side of the pond here. Chelsea player William is out of contract at the end of the season. He's been holding out for a 3-year contract with Chelsea. Chelsea has offered him a 2-year deal. So because they're at odds and because it's likely he could leave on a free, people are like, well, he's of course going to go play at Inter Miami because that's where every out-of-contract European player is going to be rumored to. Also, right. Luis Suarez has been rumored to have a 1-year offer from Inter Miami as well, and Miami supposedly has offered Willian a 3.5-year contract. So, if Willian wants 3 years, I think he's like 31 years old right now, 32 years old or something like that. If he wants 3-year contract for a major club in Europe, why would he take that same one in the United States? I mean, if he's getting 2 years at Chelsea versus 3.5 at Miami, I'm thinking he's making more money at Chelsea, getting higher exposure, unless he thinks that he can come and start and play every game with Miami versus coming off the bench in Chelsea. The monkey wrench to all of this is supposedly Arsenal gave him a 3-year deal, or has offered him a 3-year deal. So, Mike, if you're Willian, if you're playing for Chelsea, if you're not a guaranteed starter, do you take the starting spot in Miami with MLS money? Do you go to Arsenal and see what you can do there? Arsenal, who just beat your Chelsea team in the FA Cup final, mind you. What do you do if you're Willian right now?
If I'm him, I'm taking the money in Miami. It's going to be a good lifestyle in Miami. You're the superstar. You're the big name again. He's not going to be that over in Europe anymore. So that's what I'm doing. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen. Same thing with Falcao. He's rumored to be coming over. And, there's a picture of him on a beach. Do we know if that's Miami Beach? I don't know. It's just the Inter Miami rumors that are – I have zero faith in any of the rumors for Inter Miami.
Oh, right.
When you see all of these rumors, rumor after rumor after rumor, big name after big name after big name, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe, nothing ever pans out. And then all of a sudden it's Rodolfo Pizarro to the Chicago Fire for 3 months. And then one day, boom, he signs, he rejects the Fire time and time and time again. And then boom, he signs for Miami, like out of the blue. That's how it's going to happen. These guys, the rumors, stop with the Miami rumors. You know what? David Beckham, whatever. They've been happening since before this team even had a logo. Just get on with it, and we'll see what happens with it. But, I don't see anything. I don't see Willian coming. I don't see Falcao coming. Just give me a solid rumor that actually pans out, or just sign somebody. How about that?
Yeah, I'm with you. And that's, I guess, the kind of approach we've always taken on the show is until there's a done deal, until ink meets paper, or until virtual signature meets e-document, I guess nowadays. It's
Right.
almost not worth talking about it. As much as I love Willian, I thought he's been a great player for Chelsea. I wish he would have gotten a lot more time. I love his speed on the wing. He's been a solid player for the Brazilian national team too. Like, a lot of people forget about that part of his career. I'd love to see him in the MLS from a selfish perspective, but you're right, Mike. I just don't think it's going to happen. Most likely he ends up at Arsenal. Junio Rudy gives us some good insight. David Luiz and Willian have the same agent. David Luiz, who made the move also recently to Arsenal, so that could be a big reason why he ends up there. So that is what we've got on a little of the Inter Miami transfer. Willian, Suarez, all that crazy, ridiculous, fun stuff that we do like to talk about. But we do have some kind of USMNT youth news, player to keep an eye on here. If you've been following RSL, or if you know anything about the U.S. youth, you know Sebastian Soto. He's a 20-year-old striker, came up with the RSL Academy, and he's making waves in the U.S. youth ranks. Last year, he played at Hanover in the Bundesliga, also had some time at Hanover too. He just signed with Norwich City, and I'm not sure if it's Norwich or Norwich. I'll figure it out eventually. But he joins the Canaries, and they just unfortunately were relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship. So he'll be playing in the Championship next year. Still, though, great opportunity for him as a 20-year-old American striker to kind of make some noise in a big market in the English Championship. And I expect Norwich to be right in the mix of it to get promoted again next year. They've been a team that's like up and down each and every year. And oddly enough, they tend to make runs in some of those domestic cup tournaments. So I expect to see Soto get a lot of time with them. And Mike, from a USMNT perspective, that's what we want, right? We want our young guys getting minutes, meaningful minutes in competitive leagues.
That's what it comes down to. I don't care if you sign for Bayern Munich or a big name club. I want to see you play and get out there on the field, get those minutes, get that consistent time. You're not going to get anywhere playing on the bench. Sitting there 60 minutes, 80 minutes a game, or all game, every other game. So that's what it really comes down to, is get the minutes in. So for Sebastian Soto,
right,
a good place for him. A 20-year-old striker. He's not going to crack a Premier League team, a starting lineup and getting a lot of minutes. So going down to the Championship, I think that may bode well for him. And who knows, maybe he is part of the plans in the future for the USMNT. Only time will tell, and then it depends on what his form's like, and whenever we get back to international football as well, because there are some rumors of teams setting up friendlies and whatnot, but we need to get back to that first before we really start talking about who we need to be watching and getting call-ups and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So sticking with MLS, we got to pay a little respect here to our hometown team here from Chicago. A couple quick headlines out of the Fire camp here. Jonathan Bornstein, the former USMNT player, current Chicago Fire defender, his option was extended to 2020 through 2021. So he's 35 now. He'll be playing until he's 36 at least. And by the way, Mike, in a recent interview, he said he'd love to be playing through 40. I don't know if 40 years old playing in the MLS is a reasonable thing to expect from a guy, but hey, man, if anyone can do it, it's Jonathan Bornstein, who just keeps popping up on some roster year after year after year after year. So quick little thing from there. The other thing, Alex Moniz, one of the Chicago Fire homegrown players, saw his first professional minutes in Forward Madison's game against North Texas. As we all know, USL1 team Forward Madison is the new Chicago Fire affiliate, so expect to see a lot of those young homegrowns that the Chicago Fire have signed this offseason coming up and getting some minutes and getting some good time with Forward Madison. So make sure you tune in to Forward Madison. We had a great conversation on Twitter recently that, hey, ESPN Plus is giving all these games, is broadcasting all these games, and for the price of ESPN Plus, and you bundle it with your Disney Plus, I'm sure that everyone's got already, right? I got kids, we got it all there. It's all bundled together, right? You're getting tons of soccer for a really good price, and you're getting professional soccer. You're getting, the future of the MLS and the U.S. soccer team is coming up right now in USL USL 1, and you're seeing the next wave of coaches getting, kind of cutting their teeth in these USL ranks. You're seeing Concacaf nations develop their players in the USL. Like, this is such a great league to be watching and just to consume more soccer. Like, there's so much going on. So stay tuned for Chicago Fire players at Forward Madison. Stay tuned for the next generation of North American soccer coming up in some of these lower leagues here in the U.S. So I guess that's my sales pitch, Mike. I'm not on anyone's payroll, though. Maybe they should throw a few bucks at us. USL, let us know. We'll hook you up. Throw a few dollars. Throw a logo around someplace. Any reactions to the Chicago Fire news from you, Mike?
No, Jonathan Bornstein. Yeah, it is what it is with him. I think he's a good fit for the team to bring that veteran leadership, but that's about all. As well, then the younger kids getting some minutes in Madison, that's good. But as you were speaking of the sales pitch, we've got to give our sponsors a shout out. So thank you to our sponsors on the podcast side, Donovan Food Brokerage, as well as Nice Premium Iceland Pure Spring Water. And then also here on the YouTube side of things, we have our friends Skira Icelandic Water. Go to your local 7-Eleven. They are sponsors of our hydration breaks on our live stream reactions. So go get a Skira at your local 7-Eleven in the United States. Great Icelandic water, 8.88 pH alkaline. It's good stuff. So anyways, thanks to our sponsors. We could not do this without you. Really appreciate that. And Nick, we're we're back at it here. We got a little bit to cover here before we get to the tournament update. We've got a listener question from Ray Orozco. You had a little bit of a conversation with him. What was going on there?
Sure. So the gist of Ray's question is, why is there controversy around NBC and CBS coverage of soccer with U.S. soccer fans? And he says, he's a fan of a lot of British sports, tennis, golf. These are things that you hear there was no American voice on tennis or golf, and it wasn't controversial. And, there wasn't Twitter though, but he wasn't bothered by it. He asked, why is it such a controversy? What is one definition of American, right? ESPN has Fernando Palomo and Ale Moreno doing soccer coverage. Do you consider them American faces and voices? They're American citizens, no less than anyone else here, says Ray Orozco. Also, though, you got Marcelo Balboa doing Champions League coverage, and he's played on the USMNT team. So, Mike, I haven't seen a lot of it on Twitter, but I absolutely know what Ray's talking about. People are saying we have a lot of foreign broadcasters doing American soccer. I mean, you see it with the Latin influence in the names that he mentioned, Fernando Palomo, Ale Moreno, Max Bredos a little bit. That's who I was trying to think of. You see a lot of UK announcers and broadcasters and ESPN talking heads and things of that nature. Something that I've said on the show, first of all, I don't know why it's controversial. I mean, these are the people who know soccer, right? Right. My take on it is, if we're trying to grow the game of soccer in the United States, if the MLS is trying to up their TV ratings and appeal to an American audience, I think you need to have people relatable for the average American sports fan. Maybe not necessarily an American soccer fan, but if you want to grow into just the sports consciousness of the United States, I think it's hard to grow if you have an Irishman, an Englishman, and someone from Mexico giving you the breakdown of everything going on. If you're just flipping through the channels, or if you've got ESPN on at night and you're falling asleep to SportsCenter or something, you're probably tuning that out as an average American sports fan. So I love that all these guys are on on these shows. I think they bring an excellent perspective. They've all played in these games. They give you such great experiences and stories and things like that. But if ESPN is trying to grow the sport, if they're trying to grow broadcasts, if the MLS is trying to expand coverage into all areas of life in the country, I think they do need to consider having people who've grown up with it You know, and I'll submit my resume as well. But anyway, that's kind of my take on it, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, these guys should be, you know, I don't really understand the controversy of it. I mean, you look at it, whether they're an American citizen, not an American citizen, doesn't really matter. I mean, Alejandro Moreno, the only thing I equate with Alejandro Moreno is him in an old crew shirt with a Glidden logo on it. Like the dude was a face of the Columbus Crew for a long time, you know, and a hell of a player. I mean, I don't understand what you know, what the deal is. You have kind of that stereotype of the English accent or the Scottish accent, right? So like that's kind of what soccer is. That's kind of, I think that's an American stereotype. You know, it's diverse, just like America. Like there's every race, color, and creed in America, and it's the same way with soccer. So I don't understand why there's any controversy here. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, whether they're American citizens or not, if they're doing their job, and you know, it's I don't really understand it. I mean, to me, I like what these guys bring. I like having the aspect of having the American soccer player like Taylor Twellman, even though he can be kind of an ass sometimes. You know, it's having, you know, guys that have played in the league, guys that are familiar with it, teamed up with your English broadcasters or Mexican broadcasters. You know, it's good. I think it's good for the game. It's good to make it grow. And everybody talks about how much they hate Joe Buck when he's doing the MLB playoffs. You know, like, come on. The people are just going to bitch. That's what I've found. You know, so to hell with what these people think. If you don't like it, mute it. That's the thing I love about sports. You know, for me, I can have a game on and not have to listen to anything because I can see the game. That's all I care about. Now, if I'm watching, you know, I want to hear it, then you turn it up and listen to it. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I got a comment here from the chosen one. Nice job with the sponsors. I went and tried Skira water after seeing you guys. Appreciate you going out and showing some support to our sponsors. That is fantastic. That's exactly why these guys help us grow our business, because we help them. So thanks, Chosen One, for going out and getting some of that Skira water. But yeah, the whole broadcaster thing, man. I mean, you know, there's good duos, there's bad duos, there's annoying guys, there's good guys. But that's what it is. So
right, you just want the best crew that you can get calling the best game that you can. I think that's what everybody wants at the end of the day. So,
right,
you ready to jump into the MLS's back tournament?
We've got some games to talk about.
Yes, we do.
This is the part I love. You know, talking about.
All right, everybody, adjust your chairs a little bit. Get comfortable. We're going right in. Second half of the show. Got to come out of the gate strong here for the MLS is back tournament recap and look ahead. So, you know, let's just talk about these last four games here, Mike. The quarterfinal games, knockout rounds, setting up our semifinal matchups. Quick score recaps here. You had the Philadelphia Union topping Sporting Kansas City 3-1. Orlando defeats LAFC on penalties after drawing 1-1 in regulation. Minnesota beats San Jose 4-1. Crazy low-scoring game for San Jose, which we haven't seen during this tournament. Meanwhile, Portland beats NYCFC. Sorry, Daniel Young, to rehash old wounds. Portland tops the Citizens 3-1. Kind of interesting that you still have two East and two Western Conference teams in it. If you want to look at balance and parity across the leagues, I guess maybe there's one data point. But Mike, what were your initial reactions as these games wrapped up?
Philly's on fire and have been since the start of this tournament. Orlando beating LAFC is just the example of MLS and the parity in MLS. Especially when you get into penalties. Anything can happen. LAFC down Carlos Vela, an MVP of the league, and I'm telling you, on a neutral pitch, even though Orlando's technically the home team, let's be serious, it's a neutral pitch. You know, anything can happen, and it did. So Orlando gets through on that one. Minnesota's a damn good team, man. They're down Ike Opara. They're a damn good team. I mean, they have and they don't have any big names. That's the thing. But I'll tell you, that kid Luis Amarilla, I love that kid. I would die to get him on Toronto FC. I'll make a deal with the with the Minnesota United management, Josie Altidore and Pablo Piatti for Luis Amarilla right now. Get it done. That kid is good. He talks a good game, backs it up, and of course they would never take that trade. Who would? But no, I mean he's a hell of a player. I really like that kid, and he's going to help Minnesota United because that was my only concern with them losing Darwin Quintero in the offseason, letting him go. I was like, man, where's their goals going to come from? Like Aaron Schoenfeld's not scoring a bunch of goals. I mean, he might score a few, but he's not really going to score or light it up. And Luis Amarilla is on fire. That kid is a damn good player. And Portland against NYCFC, Portland won out. NYCFC, they had a rough tournament. They had a rough beginning to the season. They played a good game with their talent, just like they did, against Toronto. And then they fell apart again against Portland. They played okay in the beginning, but then Portland just kind of took it over. So.
What's crazy for me, Mike, is you see kind of two trends with a couple of the top teams here, LAFC and NYCFC, kind of bowing out earlier than expected in tournaments and playoffs, right? Like New York City finally made their run last year, and then Toronto eliminated them to get to the finals. LAFC has been such a great team in MLS, but they haven't played in a trophy match. I mean, we're not even talking about winning anything. They haven't even made it to a final for any sort of trophy match as far as I can remember. I don't think they made it to any U.S. Open Cup finals, and here they are again, bowing out early in the MLS's back tournament. I mean, they had a great win over Seattle, but then to lose it 5-4 on penalties to Orlando just kind of shows that maybe they do need that Carlos Vela. Maybe the roster isn't as deep as they had hoped it would be. Again, Diego Rossi he's having himself a great tournament. He was, I think, top of the standing for the Golden Boot right now, but again, just not enough to get him past Orlando City in this matchup. So I wonder if LAFC and NYCFC are going to go into the second half of this MLS season thinking, okay, we need to do something different to get ready for the playoffs, or in the next offseason, if you start seeing a lot of maybe minor depth roster moves than big signings for those couple clubs. That's kind of my take on those two teams. But yeah, the other two games, holy cow, Philadelphia jumped all over Kansas City early and withstood Kansas City's offensive pressure. KC's got to do something to find goals, Mike. Like they started so hot with the first two games of the regular season. They put the pressure on all throughout the course of this MLS's back tournament. They got to find the back of the net. Like, I keep wanting to scream Johnny Russell's name out, like, Russell with another hat trick, Russell with the brace. Like, you expect to say those things when you cover Kansas City, but they're just not finding the back of the net. So I don't know if I'm going to see much of a change from Vermees in Kansas City because they create so much opportunity. Maybe they're just unlucky. I don't know. I hate to say it's just luck. That's all it is. But we'll see what they do, if anything, when the regular season rolls around again. Holy cow, great for Minnesota, man. And San Jose, it was like, they have their worst game of the season at the worst part of the season, right? They're not finding the back of the net. They're not scoring. Wondolowski's not having his magic. And Minnesota, this is the Loons team that we have wanted to see as fans. This is the team coming together. Everyone's contributing, and they're getting hot at the right time in line for their first trophy as an MLS club. So those are my quick takes on. Okay, maybe not a quick take. I'm long-winded. I'm a lawyer. I get it. But those are my takes on the knockout round game, the round of 16 games.
Are you a lawyer?
Believe it or not, Mike, I dabble in the law. Yes.
Oh, man. I had to.
Looking ahead. That's fine. I've only mentioned it once or twice. But looking ahead to these semifinal matchups, Mike, I think it's great that we have Orlando and Minnesota playing each other. I mean, it's great to see those two teams who have struggled so mightily in their early years of the MLS now having this matchup with the trip to a finals on the line. A lot of people are writing off the MLS's back tournament as a gimmick, but it means something to these players and these teams. Clearly, even more than just the $1.1 million purse at the end of it. They want to use this as a springboard. They want to use this to show that they're a legitimate team and that, things are shaking up in their respective conferences here. So I'm excited for that Orlando City, Minnesota matchup. I'm going to give the edge to the Loons in that one. And then as far as Timbers Philly, Timbers just won't go away. I thought the championship window was closed. They continue to tinker. And man, when they were scoring goals, Savarese was going nuts on the bench. Like, he's so pumped up for this. It's great and it's contagious. And, some of our comments said, like, the Andy Polo goal and celebration were fantastic. Like, he had himself a highlight of a goal to seal that win. But I still think Philly takes it. They're rolling. They are rolling. Timbers probably feel like they've gotten farther than they need to be. The Union are ready to win a trophy. I go Philly over Minnesota in the finals, Mike, and that's kind of what I'm looking for as these last few games come around this week. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so I got to give the edge to Minnesota United over Orlando, just based off the talent and the team that's done nothing but win overall through this tournament as well as the beginning of the season. So I see them beating Orlando. Orlando is just kind of on a Cinderella ride right now. I think they're better than the bottom dwelling teams that never make the playoffs, but they're not. I don't think they'll be able to win two big time games here. But again, if I say it, it probably goes wrong. But my pick is Minnesota United there. On the other side, Philadelphia and Portland. I think Portland is a good veteran team that has a chance against Philadelphia. However, Philly is just rolling, man. I can't see anybody taking them out, especially with with Brandon Aronson and how he's playing right now. He had an unbelievable assist in the last game, and just there's reasons why this guy is being touted to move over to the Bundesliga at, whatever, 18, 19 years old. The kid just had his prom. So I can see the way that they're playing right now. I can't see anybody stopping them. They're on a mission right now. So I've got them taking out Portland. And then in a final between Philly and Minnesota United, it's which team is going to get devastated again. That's kind of the,
oh no,
what I can see here. And for me, I think it's going to be Minnesota. I think they'll eventually get some success in the playoffs and whatnot, but I think Philadelphia is just on too much of a roll that they're just too good. So my pick is Philadelphia to win this one.
Philadelphia to win the tournament. I think you and I both agree on that one, at least at this point. I don't think we would have picked that early on. Not to undersell Philly, I think we both had them advancing out of their group, but I don't think we ever would have picked them to win the entire tournament.
No chance.
And as far as Aronson goes, he's definitely the next hot product coming out of the MLS and the next U.S. youth player who's going to get his opportunity. I've heard he's been linked to even Celtic and Rangers over in the Scottish Premier League. Would you rather see him go play there, or would you rather see him in the Bundesliga? What do you think?
Go to the Bundesliga. Don't waste your time going to the Scottish Premier League. Look, Rangers is a good team. Celtic, okay, they're good, but the quality in the Scottish Premier League is nowhere near the Bundesliga. I mean, we can see what he does here in MLS. I wouldn't waste my time going there. I would go straight into the Bundesliga. He has the talent. He's on an upward trajectory, and looks like Ryan Anderson and I are just on the same page completely tonight. Maybe it's because we're TFC fans. I don't know, but he says, Germany, Scotland would be a waste of his time. There you go. Spot on. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, he may not get as many first team minutes many starting minutes in the Bundesliga as he would playing for Celtic or Rangers, but I think he would get more meaningful minutes and get a lot more competition over there. I think the Scottish Premier League is similar to some of the other leagues that we often kind of talk about, where it's those top 2 teams and then kind of everybody else. So he wouldn't have as much. He'd probably have better competition in the Bundesliga. I think is what we're thinking, and obviously the chance to kind of follow a lot of other Americans and get opportunities. The Bundesliga isn't as discriminating against American players, in my own opinion, at least. So,
Right.
Bundesliga probably a good spot for him.
He'll be in a starting lineup for one of your mid-table Bundesliga teams 6 months in. Is he going to go to Bayern and start? Hell no. Is he going to go to even like a Dortmund or Borussia Mönchengladbach? No, he's not going to start there. But a Freiburg, where he's been linked to a Hertha Berlin, these Berlin sides that are coming up there, that would. I could see him breaking the starting lineup within 6 months. He's not going to come right in and start from day one. He's going to have to work his way up a little bit, but yeah, I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I like those Americans in the Bundesliga, because the German teams give them that chance. They're not going to give them a starting role just because they're the new signing, but they're not going to bench them because they're young and American. They're going to give them every opportunity to excel in training, to get some minutes in meaningful games, and then prove themselves to be in the starting 11. So that's what I like over there. So hopefully he ends up in the Bundesliga. Agreed on that. One other thing, Mike, to kind of watch for, you've got the Adrian Heath Derby over there with Orlando and Minnesota. Heath, who coached Orlando from their USL days into the MLS. He spent 8 years as their head coach, Mike, and then the last 3 he's been with Minnesota. Do you read anything into some of these headlines that are coming out? Like, is there any little extra something that Orlando or Minnesota are trying to prove just because Adrian Heath's been on both sides of the bench there?
No. Adrian Heath's not that important. Sorry.
Okay, just a little bit more MLS manufactured headline.
Decent coach. Yeah, just a manufactured headline. I mean, he's a coach, but yeah, there's nothing there. I mean, the teams are different now. I would think if he had just left Orlando, maybe, within a year, then maybe he would have some, access to the game plans, the players, that kind of stuff. But no, it's been long enough now. It's just a manufactured headline.
There you go. Well, Mike, that's kind of everything, as we're kind of approaching our hour mark here on the show. That's everything I wanted to cover this week. I just want to say thank you to all of our viewers, our listeners, for bending your ear to us week in and week out. Hopefully we're providing you some quality, entertaining, and educating MLS soccer, American soccer content. We love doing it. We love having you with us. Thank you, everyone. Connect with us on Twitter at SOP Soccer. Subscribe on the YouTube channel so you're aware of anytime one of our videos is coming up. Spread the word. Tell your friends. That's the best way for it to grow. You tell 2 friends who tell 2 friends. No, but really, just tell everyone, join the conversation, hop on with us. If you know anyone who is in the business of soccer, let us know. We're looking to expand our sponsorships, to add to our YouTube channel sponsors as well, and to reinvest and really get some good technology. We've been trying out some different platforms and some different streaming services and things over the last few episodes. Some work better, some don't. If you've been watching, you know which ones don't, or what episodes haven't worked out so well. So as we continue to grow our show and grow our sponsorship base, it helps us put out a better product. We reinvest into our show. So thank you from me. Thanks to everyone who joined. Sis, if you're still watching, why are you up so late? Usually you're in bed because your boys are going to wake you up first thing in the morning. So anyway, kiss my nephews for me. And everyone, thank you for watching. Mike, I'll turn it over to you. Your closing remarks tonight.
Yeah, so I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks to everybody for watching and joining us today. We had a great conversation today. However, I have to take a hiatus, a break from the podcast for a period of time. I have some personal responsibilities have to be taken care of, and I hope to get back, but unfortunately, due to those things, I got to take a break here. So, Nick, I appreciate this venture we've gone through so far. It's been a fun few years that we've been doing this, and we'll hopefully we'll get back to it here. But in the meantime, I appreciate your accommodations, and Nick will do a great job with the show. And really,
speaking of family obligations,
Nick will do a great job with. Yeah, speaking of family obligations, there you go. So Nick will do a great job with the show, and I'll hopefully I'll be back in the not too distant future. But yeah, thanks for everybody for all the support you've shown, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm gonna miss it.
Well, Mike, take care. Obviously, family first, as we've always said. Family first, soccer close second. Sometimes I do have to remind my wife that my first true love was the sport of soccer, since I grew up with that. But I get it, man.
Nice.
We'll miss you. Reach out. Obviously, you've got access to the Twitter page. You've got access to all this stuff. So you're never more than a click away, brother. And best of luck with everything.
Yeah, I might have to. I might have to just get on and with Twitter every once in a while if I'm watching a game and let my thoughts be known. We'll see.
Absolutely. I'm sure Ryan will be giving the extra cheers for TFC for you. I know you'll still be watching the games.
Yep, absolutely. And looks like we got before we jump off here, we got a comment there from Tony Mihalopoulos, if I pronounced that right. But from Facebook, this is our first comment from Facebook as we're streaming live there as well. So had to jump on Facebook. Thanks for the shout out. Good night. So Tony, thanks for joining there, and thanks to Eric. Take care, Mike, and Ryan as well. Sending good vibes. Appreciate it, my man. And we'll be back. So awesome, guys. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll talk to you guys. Well, I won't be talking to you guys soon, but Nick will be talking to you guys soon, and we go from there. So everybody have a great night and enjoy the last few games of MLS is back before we start a new regular season, hopefully.